what is this scientific paper means, So basically, scientific writing is either for sharing your original work, which one has performed in the laboratory, to other scientists. So through paper, you communicate what innovations, inventions, or original piece of work which you have done. Okay, so these are research papers called research papers, and then you have you can review of the work done by others. So those are review articles. But in those review articles, when you write a review article, you have to put the work done by others in the perspective of what you understand as a reviewer. You know, so reviewers' view are very, very important in reviews. We are taking support of the work done by others, but then the reviewer has to also give in his or her opinion on the subject. And normally in this, you have two types of audiences. One is the referees and another is the readers. What is this referee I'm bringing? Referees are the experts which review your article before it is accepted for publication. So first audience is the referee. Once you submit your publication paper for publication to any journal, they send it to referees. Referees are the experts in that area. So they are the first audience, and once they approve, then it goes to the scientific community, which are very specific audiences. Okay, and the readers for a paper are very, very knowledgeable people who are already working in that area, so they understand. So these scientific papers or reviews, of course can be a little bit more general and broad based, but then scientific research paper, when you write, you are communicating with very, very specific audiences. Those who already are working involved in that kind of research. Okay, so and then why one needs to publish? That is another question. I mean, you can keep doing research, and why one need to do. So, I mean, the primary objective is to tell others what you have done, what you have discovered, and what knowledge you have generated. That is the primary objective. And then, in science, doing science, you need money. So unless you establish yourself by publishing good papers, it is very difficult to get funding. Okay. So getting funding also requires publication at the PhD level, post-PhD level. And then when you are in a position to apply for grants, you should be able to write grants. And so these publications help you. And then, of course, to get promotions and get recognitions and to even find a job. If you, after finishing your PhD and postdocs, you are looking for jobs, then unless you have support of some good publications, it is very difficult to get a job. So that is the drive force to publish, whatever research one does in the laboratory. And then you have PhD thesis. I mean, these are the simple how you develop PhD thesis with background, original contributions, methodologies, etc., etc. And then conference publications. That is another place where you can publish. So to conclude, your research publications go into journals, very specific journals of your area of expertise. You can also publish as monographs, books, textbooks. So that is another domain of scientific publications. But I will focus on publications in journal. Okay, but the books and monographs and textbooks and reviews, they are also part of scientific publications. But I am focusing on publications in journal. Now, when it comes to journal, uh, there are different types of journals or categories of journals, but what one should look for, I mean, how one decides to go for which journal, you know. So these are some of the criteria that people look for. A journal for publication, your results or your research, a journal which has high impact factor. You know. So what is this high impact factor, and what is this impact factor one is talking about? Is the I mean, as the definition written here, the average number of times published paper are cited up to 2 years after publication. So that constitutes the. I mean, there are softwares which calculate for a journal that whatever papers are being published, how many times they are being cited by others. So that impact factor gives visibility to the journal and your work. You know, why if you are publishing your papers in high impact factor journals, it means your research will go to many people. They will be able to see it, and if they find interesting, they will cite in their own research. So that's where that is the link between impact factor and the publication. So that is one very important consideration, while selecting for a journal for a publication. And why, I mean, you need, I have already mentioned that why one needs a journal of high impact factor is you are, I mean, if you are publishing in good journals, then you are visible to people, to many researchers in the same. And it helps building your career. So, how many steps are there when you go for publication of your research work, or you write, you have written a paper, or you are you have done your research work and you want to publish it somewhere. So, first of all, you have to prepare the paper. It means what we call the preparation of the manuscript. Okay, so writing part of it. You have done experiments, you know the story, how you have to build, so you have to develop a manuscript. Second step is you have to identify a journal where you want to publish it. Third is you have to recheck manuscript. One has to be very careful. Uh, 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 I mean, a good journal will like to have a manuscript which is free from all mistakes, possible mistakes. Okay? So uh, one has to be very careful in editing and correcting, and then submission, submit to the journal, and then look for feedback. So these are five aspects of or steps for a publication. So uh, how one prepares a paper or manuscript, I have already dealt it with greater details, but to summarize, manuscript you have to write and then look at the language part of it, whatever illustrations you have to include, like figures, tables, that has to come, and then data, and then the ethics, that part. You have to make sure that there is no plagiarism done in the manuscript while writing, and cross-check for that ethical issue. That is the ethical issue, basically, what they meant here. And then finding an appropriate journal. So, how to find now? Means if you are working in an area, you set a criteria. Okay, that what is where you want to publish. See, I will come to that later. There are many options nowadays available, but then a journal which has high impact factor is one, and also you have to see the high impact factor journal means your research has to be of that quality, which is acceptable to those journals. And so you have to first go through. various journals which are coming and find out what kind of research they are publishing, what is the level of their publications, and then there are some softwares you can take the help of these journal finders, put some keywords, and they can suggest you that where your work can go, you know. And then these days there are some open access options, wherein you can submit to those journals. They appear online. There is no hard copy distribution of those journals. These online open access options journals, they are pretty fast. Uh, their publication time is very, very less, you know. And then you have to see the cost. These days, you are charged hell of a lot of money for publications, you know. And then there are of course free options also. So all these are the criteria which one has to look at whether you are able to pay money for publication. If yes, go ahead for a good impact factor journal which is charging you for publication. One can go. If you don't have money to pay, then you have to look for journals which can publish your research for free. So that is the scenario. So once your manuscript is ready and your journal you have picked up, you have to, as I mentioned, check and recheck for corrections, etc., and then submit. And then once you submit, then it goes for peer review. Peer reviews. So. Uh, and after submission, you can view the status of your paper on the website. They keep updating what is happening. They give you a link, and you can keep monitoring at what stage your publication is. Feedback actually is the comments. To begin with, whether your paper is accepted or rejected, or accepted with revision. These are the three kinds of feedback you may expect from the journal once you submit your manuscript. Accepted or rejected, or accepted with revision. Accepted means whatever way you have submitted your manuscript, that is accepted as it is. Reviewers found it up to date and without any flaw. The data is publishable and is up to the standard of the journal which is going to publish. So, or the other one is reviewers found it absolutely not suitable and they just reject it. And third is the reviewers feel that if they suggest that these corrections are done in the manuscript, then it may be accepted. So that is the one type of feedback. Another feedback is once you get the feedback that is accepted with revision, for example, then you have to address to the reviewer's concern. If they have given you 10 points to look at, you have to address all those 10 points, okay, and revise your paper accordingly. So that is the feedback. Once you get the feedback, as I mentioned, you have to be careful in addressing those reviewers' comment and make sure that you are addressing all the points which reviewers have asked you to make, or any question if they have asked about certain things which you have written, then you have to explain to the reviewers. So you have to go point wise. One, what is the reverse comment, and then reply to that. And two, what is the comment and reply. And whatever corrections you have made based on the reviewer's comment, you have to mention there. Because in that comment number 2, okay, in this part, these are the corrections required. So you say that, okay, based on reviewer's comment, these corrections have been made. Like that. And in case you are not accepting reviewer's suggestion, then you have to reply. with very strong evidences or reasons that why you disagree with reviewer's suggestion and you will continue to have yours. Okay. So that also is very, very important. You just cannot say, I don't accept this reviewer's comment. You have to give reason why you are not agreeing. And if the reviewer, suppose sometimes the reviewer while reading, while writing, they miss certain things and they give a comment. But if you remind them about that, that no, this is because of this, they may agree with you. There is no. But there are again, if the reviewer doesn't agree with you, he will reject the paper. So that option is with reviewer. You know, he may agree with your explanation which you are giving, or you agree with the reviewers. You know. So anyway, this is flow of diagram. I mean, whatever I was talking, this is the way things go. You submit the manuscript, and after submission, the editorial board assigns it to the reviewers, and the decision can be the rejection or a revision, resubmission, review, re-review. And again, you submit after revision, it is either accepted or rejected. Once it is accepted, it goes for publication. So that is the flow of activity, after you have prepared the manuscript and the manuscript is submitted to a journal. Okay. Now, what is this peer review? Okay, or a reviewer? So basically, reviewers, as I mentioned, are the people in your area, the experts, those who have credentials, known credibility in that area. Your manuscript goes to them. I mean, like if you are working in the lab, your boss also has credentials. So we keep reviewing each other's paper. So it's not that. But if I am submitting a paper, then I cannot review myself. So this has to go to other experts in that area. So generally, reviewers are the authorities, experts in that area, and therefore their suggestions are very, very important. And all editorial boards, all the journals, they value the comments of the reviewers. Now, there are three kinds of reviewing done in general. One is single blind. Now, single blind reviewing is where reviewers know the identity of the authors, but the authors don't know who reviewed your paper. So that is single blind. Double blind means neither the author knows nor identity, nor the researcher knows. So I mean, it is a reviewer doesn't know who has written the paper, and authors don't know who has reviewed. That is double blind. So what they mask actually the identity of the authors when they send to when they send it to the reviewers. So there it is only they get the contents, title and abstract onwards. They remove the author's part. Okay, so that is double blind, and the open reviewing is where authors know who is reviewing, reviewer know who is writing. But nowadays, it is in 99.9 journals are on double blind, because if the reviewer know whose lab has written this paper, there is a chance of they going biased. अरे वो तो उनकी लैब का है, तो फिर they don't give their honest opinion. So so nowadays it is the double blind approach which is taken. And what do editors want from a paper? I mean, their expectation is very simple. It should be in an important area, original piece of work. It should be relevant to their readers, and useful. And most importantly, it is the true representation of the work done in the lab, and written very nicely. So that is what editors look for. You know, now these are just some points which have been written as tips and tricks for publishing paper, and that is based on the points which I had been talking about scientific writing. So I'm not going to spend any time. You can read, and it is self-understandable points actually. For example, focus on innovative aspects. It means that to starting from with your research, your research should be exploratory. Where you may end up discovering something new, novel. And then when you are writing, it should be clearly written, should be comprehensive, well focused. You know, uh, so these are some of the points, which one should keep in mind. If you if you take care of these points, then the chances of your paper getting accepted increases. You know, but I can tell you, 9 out of 10 times, the paper needs a revision. Whatever manuscript you submit, it is very rarely a paper is accepted without any comments. And if that happens, it means it is really, really good. That's why I'm telling 1 out of 10 is it happens. Otherwise, you just get some comments or the other, and the reviewers want to improve your manuscript on few lines. So it is good actually. One should not feel disheartened that so and so has written some this kind of comments and things like that. So fine. With this, actually, I'm sort of stopping here, and then